Hello there, I'm Raymond Goh. Good to have you with us on Nightline. The headlines. Tun Daim expects tenders to be called soon to acquire stakes in GLCs. And Securities Commission fines Deloitte for 1MDB negligence. Good morning. The government is set to issue public tenders to acquire stakes in some government-linked companies' GLCs as it seeks to divest its interests in the latter. Advisor to the government, Tun Daim Zainuddin, said GLC boards, which he is not a part of, will conduct a study and come up with a proposal on the matter.
New board has taken over, so they're doing all the study. And soon they will make a proposal to the board first, which companies they want to divest. And I think this time they'll call for tender. They'll call for tender. I think they'll call for tender.
When will we see?
I mean, as I told you, these are big companies. And so many companies that are there. They have to identify which company they want to divest first.
Tun Daim said this to reporters on the sidelines of a luncheon talk, Future Bumiputra Economic Atmosphere in Shah Alam, Selangor on Wednesday. He said the boards are expected to carry out a due diligence process soon, which will take some time to complete. Earlier, government-linked investment company Khazanah Nasional Berhad sold 16% of its equity interest in IHH Healthcare Berhad, worth 8.42 billion ringgit to Mitsui & Co. Limited. Meanwhile, Tun Daim has advised cabinet ministers not to quarrel among themselves openly, as this could make the people become disillusioned with the government. He said although the current crop of ministers were still new, there should not be any open conflict. He said they should instead show a spirit of solidarity. Tun Daim also urged ministers to work hand in hand with civil servants to implement the economic and institutional reforms. He said 8 months into New Malaysia, the government could have done more within the time frame.
Could do more. The learning process is over. Now matter of implementation. And the Raya expects a lot. They must honor their promises. And it can be done, provided there's unity, sit down together and work for the good of the Raya and the country. This time, politics aside, time to deliver. Rakyat watching. That you make so many promises, please deliver these promises.
Tun Daim said the civil service is made up of people who are capable and possess good qualification. But there are ministers who do work without asking for the opinions of others, and when this happens, civil servants will not bother, hence why many things are not implemented well. The Securities Commission Malaysia SC has reprimanded and imposed penalties on Deloitte PLT for 4 breaches related to the 2.4 billion ringgit Sukuk Murabaha program issued by Bandar Malaysia Sdn Berhad BMSB in 2014. The Commission said Deloitte was the statutory auditor for BMSB and One Malaysia Development Berhad Real Estate Sdn Berhad, 1MDB RE, for the financial years ended March 31st, 2015 to 2016. 1MDB RE, now known as TRX City Sdn Berhad, was one of the third-party security providers of the Sukuk program and the immediate holding company of BMSB. In a statement on Wednesday, the SC said Deloitte had committed 2 breaches for its failure to immediately report to the Commission irregularities which may have had a material effect on BMSB's ability to fulfill its obligations in repaying Sukuk holders any amount under the Sukuk program. One Malaysia Development Berhad is the holding company of 1MDB RE and BMSB. It said the breaches committed by Deloitte were serious in nature as the audit firm failed to discharge its statutory obligations. Malaysia is set to receive the first payment of money allegedly stolen from One Malaysia Development Berhad, 1MDB, this year. In revealing this, Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said the amount may not be huge, but expressed pleasure at the progress achieved.
Malaysia akan terima wang yang kita dapat perolehi daripada YNDB. Ini bukanlah jumlah besar, tapi bayaran pertama akan dibuat kepada negara Malaysia. Bukanlah berbilion-bilion, bukan jumlah besar, tapi sekurang-kurangnya secara permulaan. Dan ini adalah satu berita baik dan kita harap akan diikuti, disusuli dengan pembayaran berlanjutan kepada Malaysia, di mana kita dapat balik wang yang dirompak daripada YNDB.
Lim, however, declined to comment further on the amount and source of the money. He also urged opposition political parties to return any money received from 1MDB or face legal actions. In the meantime, Lim said only Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad will make announcements on the proposed 81 billion ringgit East Coast Rail Link ECRL project. He said that this is due to the sensitivity of the contract.
Cabinet made a decision to adopt the statement made by the Prime Minister yesterday, that the matter would still undergo negotiation. And in view of the sensitivity of the contract discussions, that we should allow the discussions, which will now be G2G, to be held away from public glare.
Lim said the cabinet made the decision after a meeting on Wednesday. The finance minister earlier attended a ceremony to hand over a 20 million ringgit contribution to Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail in support of the Buy Malaysia Products campaign program. Malaysia's total trade in 2018 remained resilient, expanding 5.9% to 1.9 trillion ringgit from 1.8 trillion in 2017 due to stronger than expected export growth. International Trade and Industry Minister Dr. Darrell Liking said despite uncertainties in the global environment, exports rose 6.7% to 998 billion ringgit, while imports grew 4.9% to 877.7 billion ringgit.
First, we are facing a global slowdown. Secondly, Malaysia will be quite badly affected as well if the campaign against many of our crops like palm oil continues. But we are not going to give up. So when I said in my speech was we almost reached a trillion for 2018. Let's hope and let's be positive that we can cross 1 trillion.
Darrell Liking said this when presenting Malaysia's 2018 trade performance in Kuala Lumpur on Wednesday. He said Malaysia's trade surplus widened 22.1% to 120.3 billion ringgit, registering the fastest rate in 10 years and the largest trade surplus since 2012. He added this was the 21st consecutive year of trade surplus since 1998. ASEAN remains an important and strategic trading partner for Malaysia, accounting for 27.1% of Malaysia's total trade in 2018, valued at 509.2 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Institute of Economic Research, MIER, says that business conditions are likely to improve slightly in the first quarter of 2019. Its Executive Director, Dr. Zakaria Abdul Rashid, said although the fourth quarter Business Condition Index, BCI, which tracks domestic manufacturing activities, dropped to below the 100-point threshold to 95.3 points, the expected index, EI, has increased marginally on expectations of production and export sales. At a media conference on Wednesday, Dr. Zakaria said the MIER is maintaining the country's economic growth target of 4.7% for 2018 and 4.5% for this year.
We look at these two, the domestic demand and external demand. And external demand, when you look at the IMF projection on the world economy in 2019, is 3.5. It's lower than 2018, which is 3.7, right? 3.7 to 3.5. Yeah. So when the world economy will be growing slower, then we can't expect Malaysia to grow faster than that.
He said the market is closely watching the United States-China trade talks due in March, with a hope that President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping will reach a positive deal. This positive impact would also lead to better the country's economic growth in 2019. He pointed out, however, that both growth and sentiments might be further dragged down if the two leaders' talks fail, as both economy powerhouses are currently major trading partners of Malaysia. The US previously said it will increase tariffs on Chinese goods on March 2, 2019, as both countries started negotiations last December. The Royal Malaysian Customs Department said refunds for the Goods and Services Tax GST to eligible companies will be paid out either in a lump sum or carried out in stages under a special mechanism developed by the department. Customs Director General Dato Sri Subramaniam Tolasi said most of the claims for GST refunds made to the department has cleared scrutiny and payouts in stages have commenced and is expected to proceed until year-end. However, he said to safeguard the taxes, the department intends to implement a retention sum or a bank guarantee as a choice for GST-registered companies. In a statement on Wednesday, Dato Sri Subramaniam said the bank guarantee to be implemented by the Customs Department would be at a minimum rate of 30% of the sum claimed by companies. The retention sum will be refunded after a field audit and risk management are conducted. Dato Sri Subramaniam said the companies involved would only bear costs of between 0.9% and 1.5%, whereby it will be given the choice to replace the bank guarantee method to a retention sum. It was also revealed that over 121,000 companies and individuals had not received their GST refunds since 2015, and that the previous government had withheld GST refunds amounting to 19.25 billion ringgit. Police seek solution on millions of unpaid traffic summonses. This and more when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Pahang state government has declared Thursday a special holiday for the state in conjunction with the proclamation of the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong. The Sultan of Pahang, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah Sultan Ahmad Shah Al-Mustain Billah.
Cuti peristiwa ini diberi memandangkan 31 Januari ini, iaitu esok, merupakan tarikh yang penuh bersejarah kepada negeri dan seluruh rakyat jelata di negeri Pahang.
The state government is also urging the people, especially civil servants, to be present at the 10th Mile Royal Malaysian Air Force Base at about 7 a.m. on Thursday to send off the King and his consort, who would board a special flight to Kuala Lumpur. On January 24th, Pahang ruler Al-Sultan Abdullah was chosen as the 16th Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Al-Sultan Abdullah's 5-year tenure as the king would start on Thursday. The new Yang di-Pertuan Agong and the deputy Yang di-Pertuan Agong would also take their oaths of office and sign the instrument of office on Thursday. Some 5.72 million traffic summonses had been issued to errant motorists nationwide last year. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department Director Dato Azizman Alias said of that total, only 25% were settled.
Speeding dan parking di tempat-tempat yang tidak betul yang paling banyak kita keluarkan lah. Macam speeding tu memang selalunya di highway lah.
He said this at a media conference in Bukit Aman on Wednesday. He also said that 5,870 fatal accidents have been recorded last year, compared with 6,265 in 2017. Selangor recorded the most number of accidents last year with 163,078, followed by Johor 78,812 and Kuala Lumpur 72,284 cases. He also said that motorcyclists recorded the highest number of road fatalities. In Johor, 5 contractors were remanded between 5 and 7 days to assist in investigations into false claims worth 48,600 ringgit 2 years ago. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Salihuddin Abdul Sani at the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court on Wednesday. All the contractors, aged 39 to 55 years old, were held by the Kluang Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) in Johor on Tuesday. They are suspected of having submitted false details regarding the supply work in the Pontian and Kota Tinggi National Unity and Integration Department in 2017. However, further investigations revealed that the provision of work did not take place. The case is being investigated under the MACC Act 2009. Meanwhile, 2 women aged between 30 and 50 who were also held at the MACC involving the same case were released on a 5,000 ringgit bail each with 1 surety. A 28-year-old woman was killed when the car she was driving skidded and hit a toll post early on Wednesday. The accident occurred at kilometre 8 of the North-South Expressway southbound at Johor Bahru at 3 a.m. Johor Bahru District Police Chief ACP Muhammad Taib Ahmad said the victim has been identified as Tan Kwok Wee, who died on the spot. Initial probe revealed that a car driven by Tan did not collide with any other vehicles. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act 1987. Meanwhile, the Kuala Lumpur High Court on Wednesday set 5 days from November 25th for the hearing of a suit filed by the Sultanah of Terengganu, Sultanah Nur Zahirah, against the founder and editor of Sarawak Report, Claire Rucastle Brown, and 2 others over alleged defamatory statements in the book The Sarawak Report, the inside story of the 1MDB expose. Counsel Vishu Kumar, who represented Sultanah Nur Zahirah, said the dates were set by Judge Dato Ahmad Zaidi Ibrahim during case management in chambers. He said 9 witnesses, including Sultanah Nur Zahirah and Rucastle Brown, would be called to testify at the hearing set for November 25th to 29th. Sultanah Nur Zahirah filed the suit on November 21st last year after naming Rucastle Brown or Claire Louise Brown, Gerak Budaya Enterprise publisher Chong Ton Sin, as well as the printing company Vinlin Press Sdn Bhd as the first to the 3rd defendants in that order. In a statement of claim, Sultanah Nur Zahirah alleged that Rucastle Brown had used defamatory statements in the book, which was published around August last year. Sultanah Nur Zahirah alleged that the defamatory statements implied that she, the plaintiff, was involved in corrupt practices and interfered in the administration of Terengganu, as well as used her role to influence the setting up of the Terengganu Investment Authority, TIA, and assisted Joe Low or Lau Tek Joe to be the advisor of TIA. Sultanah Nur Zahirah alleged that the statements were defamatory as she was not involved in the administration of the state nor the setting up of TIA. Sultanah Nur Zahirah is claiming 100 million ringgit in damages from each of the defendants and wanted the second defendant, the publisher, to withdraw the books containing the defamatory statements, as well as stop the 3rd defendant, the printing company, from printing more copies of the book. In Malacca, an unemployed man pleaded not guilty at the Ayakro Sessions Court on charges of sexual harassment against an 11-year-old girl in Bandar Hilir, Malacca on November 7th. The 26-year-old accused was charged under the Sexual Offences Against Children Act 2017, which provides a 20-year jail term and caning upon conviction. Over in Selangor, a sales executive pleaded not guilty at the Shah Alam Sessions Court to 2 counts of selling a bachelor's degree last year. The 34-year-old accused was charged under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Act 2009, which provides a jail term of up to 20 years and a fine of not less than 5 times the sum of the gratification or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher, upon conviction. Two Indonesian women were sentenced to 3 months in prison by the Ayakaro Magistrates Court. The two, aged 25 and 33 respectively, were accused of facilitating prostitution in a hotel room in Malacca on January 14th. Earlier, in a separate proceeding, another Indonesian woman was fined 2,300 ringgit in default of 4 months jail after she also pleaded guilty to prostitution. Meanwhile, in Negeri Sembilan, the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry seized more than 1,000 imitation goods, varying from shoes and apparel, during a raid at a shopping mall in Seremban. The raid was conducted following a 3-day investigation upon receiving public information. The ministry is currently tracking the business owner to assist the investigation. Coming up after the breather, polar vortex makes Chicago colder than the South Pole. Stay tuned. Well, that's it for Nightline this time around. But wait, before we leave, take a look at the illuminating spectacle of colorful lanterns and lights in China's Shanxi province to welcome in the Lunar New Year. With that, I'm Raymond Goh. Thank you for your company. Take care.